Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Welcome to Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. This is the fastest-paced soccer show in SoCal, covering all the week's news, highlights, and more from LAFC, the Galaxy, Angel City, Orange County Soccer Club, and of course, the NASL's Empire Strykers. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, J.R. Liebert, affectionately known as The Scarf. Thanks so much for joining me on another absolutely jam-packed episode of Soccer in 60. Subscribe to the podcast on all your podcast platforms and make sure you subscribe to Soccer in 60 on YouTube. We make quite the trio here on Soccer in 60, and by we, I first mean Soccer in 60 OG and OCSC super supporter himself, Timmy K. What do you say, Tim Kolatz?
Hey, Scarf. Hey, Cara. It's great to be here. It's been a crazy, wild world of soccer this past week, and I can't wait to talk about it with all my friends.
That's right. And our third member, former Canadian women's national team star, veteran of 2 World Cups, 1 Olympics, and she now covers soccer in SoCal for CBS Sports Central, Cara Lang Romero. Cara, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. Angel City kicks off this weekend, and I could not be more excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. It's not quite silly season around here on Soccer in 60, as just 4 of our 5 clubs were in action this week. But boy, is it getting close, with 7 matches to look back at and another 7 to look forward to, contract signings to discuss, and a fantastic interview with Angel City Football Club midfielder Taylor Suarez as she sat down with our producer Gunnar Burnt. It is quite the ride on today's episode, and depending on how you're listening to this week's show, we might just be leading into the biggest match of the season for the Empire Strykers, a true 6-pointer against Tacoma today, Thursday, March 12th, 6:35 p.m. at Toyota Arena. Catch that match on MASL YouTube, local PBS station KVCR, and Fox Sports 1270 AM. Let's hear from our good friends over at Omnitrans. In partnership with the Empire Strykers, experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let Omnitrans take care of the ride. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Don't miss out on the excitement and make every moment count at Toyota Arena. Ride with Omnitrans to your next Empire Strykers game. And the beauty of this show is we have a fantastic crew behind the scenes. Christian and Gunnar are going to make sure that through the magic of editing, we'll take you to a Galaxy segment right now, but their match against Mount Pleasant has just ended, so we'll record that in a little bit. But that being said, LAFC is coming up, but first, let's take a quick look at Angel City before we throw it to our interview, again conducted by our producer Gunnar Burnt with Angel City Football Club midfielder Taylor Suarez. And now here, through the magic of editing, this is where our Galaxy piece will be, but their match just ended with Mount Pleasant. So we're going to record that in a little bit and then come back to you with a Galaxy segment. And so here I pause for a smooth segue. And here on Soccer in 60, we just don't tell you about the magic of editing. We show you the power of the magic of editing right here as we get set to talk about the LA Galaxy with one half of the La Cuna Galaxiana podcast. I give you Rob Halone. Rob, welcome back to Soccer in 60.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having me. And yes, the multiverse is real because I am here and I wasn't before.
No, you were at the game, and we will talk about that in just a little bit against Mount Pleasant, or at least several players wearing a Mount Pleasant jersey that were there on the pitch. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think the biggest news, Rob, in what was probably a no-brainer for Will Kuntz and everybody else in the front office there, the news came down that the Galaxy have extended the contract of Jakob Glesnes through 2028, 2029. All he's done before coming to the Galaxy was a 2-time Best 11, 3-time All-Star, and the 2022 MLS Defender of the Year. Rob, this was a no-brainer, yeah?
No, absolutely. I mean, he's only been with the Galaxy a short time, and he's already demonstrated himself to be a leader in the locker room, somebody that people already look to. And then, of course, you already called it a CV. It's stellar, and hopefully the Galaxy, by extending him, are building that foundation for a solid defense for not just this year, but for a couple of years to come.
Yeah, I mean, he is a cornerstone around which you can build probably the best true center back in Major League Soccer, or at least in the conversation each and every year. He is absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, it came off of a performance against the Colorado Rapids that I think the Galaxy would like to forget. Kind of a lackluster effort once they went down a man. And I want to get your opinion on going down a man in a second, but they fell behind early in the first half, right? That the goal puts them down at about 20 minutes in. And unfortunately, the half ended on a Gabriel Peck yellow card. I want to get your thoughts on the first half and the way the Galaxy came out in Colorado.
It's more of what we've seen already from the Galaxy this year. They create chances early. They're wasteful. And Colorado comes back, like you mentioned, 20 minutes later, and Darren Yappy puts Maya Yoshida on skates, makes Maya look pretty bad on this one, actually, and puts a well-placed shot in for 1-0. But before that, like I mentioned, the Galaxy had plenty of chances to go ahead. I mean, Gabriel Pecky had two clear-cut chances. Joseph Painsta was played in, and he had terrible first touch. João Klaus also misses one. And so when you go into the first halftime, you see a Galaxy that's winning the run of play, but they're just not winning in the scoreline.
Yeah, and oddly enough, for a guy who's now tied in the Golden Boot lead for Major League Soccer, João Klaus looking like he's pressing a little bit. I think as we talk about the match against Mount Pleasant, we'll talk about that a little bit more too. But João Klaus does find the equalizer in this one. It's 1-1. And then unfortunately, Rob, and this was almost inexplicable, Gabriel Peck assists on the equalizer. 3 minutes later, on a yellow card, I want to get your thoughts on the foul, chasing down the player from behind and a clear tackle foul from behind. Am I right in saying that this was just absolutely silly, Rob?
It's more than silly. It's letting your team down. We talked to Jakob Glesnes in the post match, and he said that Gabriel Peck was in the corner, inconsolable. I mean, he knew he let his team down. And it completely changes the match. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's silly, it's reckless, it's undisciplined, and unfortunately, it's a trend that we see with the Galaxy. I mean, you saw Amito Garces create a silly challenge and get himself sent off in the first game. So that's 2 out of 3 league games that the Galaxy already have a red card in, and they toss away points. So yes, it's silly, but it's more worryingly a part of a trend that the Galaxy has going on of being your own worst enemy and shooting yourself in the foot.
And Tim, we saw on the sidelines there in Colorado, literal snow. And once the snowball started rolling downhill, 75th minute, 85th minute, 89th minute, when it came quick for the Colorado Rapids. Tim, when you get into a run of play like that, sometimes you just got to let the snowball run over you, right?
Yeah, I think, and that's exactly what the Galaxy did. I just think after that second one, after the Peck red card, I think I'm not saying they packed their bags, but they were definitely looking for Frosty and saying, where's this thing going to come? And it's a tough one, because, again, Peck is inconsolable at the end of the match, but come on, man, you can't, no matter how cold you can't want to get into the locker room that quickly, can you?
I mean, look, Colorado, not an easy place to play, 1 mile up, especially when it's cold. It's right. Always a rough spot for any team that goes in to Colorado. They might not be in Colorado much longer, but that's a whole nother show and a whole nother segment.
Definitely.
Look, we'll talk about the way Mitrovic played at the end of this segment. Maya Yoshida, you already talked about it, Rob, did not look good at all. But that being said, they host Mount Pleasant at home. There were visa issues. Many of these players coming up from the academy, not normally starters. So a little bit of a ragtag group there by Mount Pleasant. You wouldn't know it by the way the first half ended, 1-0 on a Gabriel Peck goal. And Gabriel wanted to do well for his club in this match. But a first half that, did it give you any flashbacks of Sporting San Miguelito?
Absolutely. They looked absolutely terrible in the first half and beyond. The scoreline flatters definitely, and you got to realize that those 2 of those 3 goals were scored in basically the last 5 minutes of the game, and then extra time. So there were, besides those first 5 minutes, myself and Ananda, who was sitting right next to me in the press box, were saying, they don't look good at all. The play is slow. The rotations are slow. Nobody's running off of each other. They don't look like they want it. They were playing down to the competition basically. And honestly, like I mentioned, it could have very easily not surprised me if Mount Pleasant had been able to nick a goal at 1-0, and then it really would have been interesting. Fortunately, they got those 2 late goals. Gabriel Peck gets his hat trick.
Yeah, Gabriel Peck, again, he put his team on his back in those last 5 or 6 minutes and really atoned for that red card. Unfortunately, he'll miss the match against Sporting Kansas City Saturday, March 14th, as part of, 5 matches in 16 days, I think it is for the Galaxy?
Yes, 5 and 16.
Yeah, so let me ask you kind of a closing question on the Galaxy for this stretch that they're in. 5 matches in 16 days, with just having played another flurry of matches right before that to start the season. I asked this about LAFC. Let me ask you about the Galaxy. Should Don Garber have moved some of these regular season matches so that a club like the Galaxy can best represent itself in the CONCACAF Champions Cup?
That's a good question. That's been posed every single year. Can something be done to accommodate MLS teams? And the answer is quite evident that something could be done. The league just never does it. And usually MLS teams suffer because of it. We haven't seen that so far this year. So, maybe Don Garber is going to be able to point to, look, I'm vindicated. So, I don't expect anything to happen there, Scarf. But really quick, before I get out of here, I just want to say my condolences to Edu Lowen. I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this, but his wife, Ilona Lowen, passed after a 2-year battle with cancer. So, thoughts and prayers are to the St. Louis City family and of course, the Lowen family. Terrible news.
Absolutely. Our thoughts are with that family for sure. I know all around Major League Soccer, the same sentiment was said. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining us fresh off of being at the match. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, and there we go. Don't forget, it's time now. LAFC is coming up, but it's time to talk Angel City Football Club before we throw it to our interview conducted by our producer Gunnar Byrne with Angel City midfielder and NCAA national champion Taylor Suarez. But it's time to talk Angel City. And Cara, even though we talked about this, Timmy K and I, last episode, I'm so excited that you are on so I can get your take. Sydney Leroux officially listed on the website on Angel City Football Club's roster. It appears the comeback is indeed on, as she announced on social media last week. Look, she's signed through with Angel City through 2027, but sat out last season for mental health reasons. What will this mean if they are indeed able to get a fully healthy and ready to go Sydney Leroux for 2026?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, super excited that she is making a comeback. I played with Sydney Leroux for 3 years at UCLA, and she is a fierce competitor, so dangerous in the box. She's spoken openly about her private struggles, which is an incredibly brave thing to do. Eating disorders are rampant in women's sports. And by highlighting that and being so open, she might save somebody's life. So we got to start with that. As far as on the pitch, I doubt she'll start anytime soon or at all. She's been out over a year, but you can bet that she will be a leader both on and off the pitch. And I think she'll be a threat late in games as a sub. What a weapon to have in your back pocket. I think she could be an important addition up front to help draw some attention away from Riley Tiernan, allow her to have more space to play. I hope Sydney can come back and make a huge impact. I'm so glad 2024 wasn't her final season. That would have been very unfortunate for her legendary career to end that way. So I'm happy to see her back, hopefully healing. And if this is her last season, then I hope she can go out on top and on her own terms. She deserves a proper send-off.
Yeah, and that season beginning Sunday, March 15th at BMO Stadium against the Chicago Stars. More on that in just a second. Bakara, looking at the roster, the head coach Alex Strauss has assembled going into his first full season at the helm. I'm curious, can you give me one returning player that you're most looking forward to seeing this season and one player that Angel City has brought in this offseason that you're most looking forward to seeing?
Riley Tiernan, who I already mentioned, is the returning player I'm most excited to see. It's her sophomore season, always a high-pressure season for any player. She's got a lot of expectations on her this year after her breakout performance. 8 goals in 26 appearances. She was the league's top-scoring rookie. Can she step up to the challenge is the big question, especially as the one player up top that Angel City is very much relying on for production. That's a lot of weight on her shoulders, and I'm really interested to see how she carries it. And then Emily Sams is the new player that I'm most excited to see. She's got international experience. She'll no doubt be leading that back line starting on day one. I spoke at length a few weeks ago about what she brings to the team, and I stand by it. She's elite defensively. She'll make ACFC tough to break down, but she's also very dangerous in possession, and she will find her way onto the score sheet. With Ali Riley and Kristen Press both retiring, Sams provides the leadership that this team needs.
I love that. Look, last year was bonkers in the NWSL. The Current ran away with the Shield, but it was 8th-seeded Gotham who knocked off the Current and wound up winning the whole thing. The table was packed, 3rd to 9th, who was actually out of the playoffs, separated by just 5 points. I got some rapid fire questions for you. And Timmy K, I'm going to bring you in on a couple of these too, so get ready. But Cara, let me ask you, finish this sentence for me first. The leading scorer for Angel City Football Club in 2026 will be?
Riley Tiernan.
All right, so back at it once again. I like it. Timmy K, your thoughts on Riley Tiernan? I know she set the record, a single season record for goals last year with Angel City.
Yeah, I think that's a great one for goals. I think the leading scorer will be Svendis Johnsdotter.
Ooh, I like it. All right, so Cara, we've seen a bit of a goalkeeper battle. The goalkeeper who will have played the most minutes in 2026 for Angel City will be?
Angelina Anderson. But with Hannah Siebert close behind, I think we'll see a lot of rotation.
I like it. I like it. All right, look, Angel City have never won more than 8 matches in a season. They've never accumulated more than 31 points in any single season. There are a lot of ways that we can break down what we think the success might be. But Cara, you and I both know at the end of the season, there's only one thing they're gunning for. So I've got to ask you, will Angel City make the playoffs in 2026?
I think Angel City definitely has the potential to get into the playoffs. I think a full preseason with Strauss, some key offseason signings, and I see them in there comfortably with about 38 points this season. I think that's pretty safe. I don't think they'll be 8th. I don't think it's a thing. It's where they're squeezing right in there. I expect them to be around finishing 7th.
I like it. I like it. Okay. It's a congested table for sure. And Cara, we talked about it. The season begins at BMO Stadium Sunday, March 15th against the Chicago Stars. It was a rough season last year for the Stars and honestly a rough season for Angel City. Let me ask you, looking ahead to their matchup, who is a player on the Stars roster that could really give Angel City Football Club fits on Sunday?
So that's a tough question to answer because of all the turnover with the Chicago side, constant coaching changes. They lost Ludmila to San Diego, who was an absolute threat on goal. Mel Swanson doesn't appear to be back yet from maternity leave. Not a ton of tape on Chicago either. So there will likely be some growing pains as well with the new manager, but they do have Alyssa Nair still in goal. She's at the tail end of her career. Yes, they did bring in Katie Lund as the second keeper, who will likely challenge Nair for her starting position, I think, as the season goes on. But for now, I'm expecting Nair to be starting in goal. And with her veteran experience, it's priceless. I'm going to go with her as the player that Angel City may have the most trouble with. I don't think Chicago has anybody that Emily Sams and Sarah Gordon can't handle up front, but I think ACFC will have to be clinical against Alyssa Nair on goal.
Sounds good. One of those players that we're going to be able to see at BMO Stadium, midfielder Taylor Suarez, national champion with Florida State. Let's take a look at this fantastic interview. Our producer, Gunnar Burnt, Taylor Suarez, Angel City midfielder. Let's cut to it right now.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm here with a brand new Angel City midfielder. She's from North Carolina and has been part of the youth national team system since high school. After graduating early, she starred for Florida State and finished 3rd with the U.S. at the 2024 U20 World Cup before leading FSU to the 2025 NCAA National Championship as a sophomore and being named to the all-tournament team. Following that triumph, she left college early, to sign with Angel City. Taylor Suarez, welcome to LA.
Thank you.
Belatedly, I guess, and welcome to Soccer in 60.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so excited to have you here and to be chatting with you. I can't wait to get to know you a little bit. Before we talk about the here and now, I kind of want to go back to the graduating early part. I was just finding out who I was at that age. I don't think I would have ever made that decision. Talk to me a little bit about what went into that, and then kind of what that transition was like on the field and off the field.
Yeah, I think obviously playing professional soccer is something I've always dreamed of since I was a little girl, and I think following the 2025 season with Florida State and everything that went on and everything that we accomplished as a team and as myself personally, opportunities came in front of me at the end of the season, and it was something that I just couldn't turn down. Obviously, just having dreamed of this moment for so long and feeling confident that I was ready to take the next step. And I think once I got here, the team, the staff, they've been so welcoming. They've made the transition super seamless for me, and also having the experience that I had at a program like Florida State with so many great players around me. My whole 2 years there, it prepared me for this moment. I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So you cut high school short, then
Yes.
you cut college short,
Yes.
and now you're here. So let me just ask you, why ACFC? I'm sure you had options, right? I can't imagine that you wouldn't have had options.
Yeah.
So why ACFC, and why did you feel like now was the right time?
Yeah, I think that the staff, from the moment that I had a Zoom call with Mark and Alex, the vision that they have for the club and this team, it felt like something that I really wanted to be a part of. And then also the energy and the culture surrounding LA was just beautiful to me, and something that I really wanted to come into and have an impact in. So I think for me, after talking to teams, like Angel City stood out to me the most in that way.
Mm-hmm. So now you're here, which is great. Last season, there was a moment of a couple players talked about it. Alex Strauss talked about it. Head coach Alex Strauss talked about he kind of had to slow down implementing his new system because it was going a little too fast. It's a little too intricate to do that at a high pace. Now here you are, learning that straight out of college. Where do you feel you're at? How are you taking everything in, and what's it been like stepping up to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, Alex has done a great job since the beginning of preseason implementing what he wants us to do as a team, and then all my teammates surrounding me, we all believe in his vision and we want to be a part of it. So I think it's been easy. Like I said, since the day I got here, the girls have made it easy, the coaches have made it easy, and I think we're all bought into it, and I think it's going to be a great year.
Awesome. So we've talked about transitioning on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to know you as a person a little bit. You're fairly new to Greater LA.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't been here that long. Talk a little bit about when you're not out on the pitch training. What do you like to do? Do you go on hikes? Do you hit the beach? Do you work on cars in your free time? What do you like to do, especially now here in Southern California?
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. The weather is amazing. The scenery is amazing. It's not what I'm used to from when I lived in North Carolina and then in Tallahassee, but it's been, I mean, it's a dream every day when I'm driving here to the facility. It's like the mountains, it's crazy, but I normally will spend my time shopping, a lot of malls around. I love shopping, something I love to do. Probably too much, love it too much, but I'll do that, or I'll go to the beach. Anything outdoors, really, I love to do, so.
You've gone on a couple hikes too, or?
No hikes, not yet, but
Okay.
I plan on it,
Gotcha.
yes.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Let's go back a few years. I've read you have Puerto Rican and Portuguese ancestry. It made me curious kind of how recent that connection runs in your family. Do you have, for example, do you have a parent that's from one of those countries or from both of them? And what has that what role has that heritage played in your life?
Yeah, so my dad's side of the family comes from Puerto Rican descent. My mom's side of the family from Portuguese descent. My grandma on my mom's side, actually, her and my grandpa live in Portugal right now. I was able to visit them for the first time last summer. They used to, before COVID, spend half the year with us in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then the other half in Portugal. But then post-COVID, they kind of were stuck in Portugal, just getting older and not wanting to do the travel. But I was able to visit for the first time last summer, and it was just amazing. Like seeing where part of who I am and where I come from, and being able to spend the summer there, be with my grandma, my grandpa. It was amazing, and just seeing kind of like that background, and then been to Puerto Rico when I was younger. I haven't been there recently. Would love to go back sometime soon. It's really hard with all the hectic scheduling, but yeah, no, it's amazing that I can say that that's where I come from and that's where my ancestry comes from. And I think, yeah, I love the ability to just, for that to be a part of me, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I actually went to Puerto Rico last year, and I have to agree with you. You should go back.
Yes,
at some point. It's
yeah.
absolutely stunning. Since we're talking about Puerto Rico, did your whole family dance along to the Super Bowl halftime
Bad
show?
Bunny, yeah, loved it, yeah.
Amazing. So staying on your family for just a second, your dad and both of your brothers were college baseball players.
Yep.
Did you start playing soccer very, very young, is what I read. Was there ever a question of maybe softball? What made it soccer for you?
Yeah.
And also, what was it like growing up with two competitive brothers, older brothers that were into sports? How did that shape you as a person?
My dad will probably be mad listening to this because I should be playing softball right now, he would say. But yeah, he always wanted me to play softball. And obviously growing up in a baseball family, that was kind of the vision for me. Somewhere when I was a kid, I just wanted to play soccer. We don't really know where that kind of stemmed from, honestly. It's kind of a mystery. But when I was 3, I told my mom that I wanted to play soccer, and she was like, well, you got to wait till you turn 4. And I was like, okay. And then right when I turned 4, I asked her again, and she let me play. And then, yeah, it's history from there. I loved it ever since I played soccer when I was 4 and never stopped since. But there was some sports in between. I tried softball. I played basketball for a while, but soccer always stood above the rest. And then growing up with my 2 older brothers, I think it's completely made me who I am today, and especially the competitiveness side of me. Whether we went to the beach, we were always playing wiffle ball or beach volleyball. We were playing basketball in our backyard always since I was growing up. And I think having 2 older brothers specifically, it's tough to beat them. And I remember as a kid, I was always a pain trying to win all the time. And I think it's made me how competitive I am today.
How much younger are you than them?
We're all 3 years apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 older brothers, but they're too old. We couldn't compete.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I only have a couple more questions for you. Let's talk season opener. I can't let you go without talking season opener real quick. You're hosting a Chicago team that has had a slew of changes during the offseason. It's players leaving, a lot of new players coming in, some top college players coming in, veteran players coming in, new coaching staff, a starting caliber keeper comes in, but they retain their old goalkeeper who's a legend. How difficult is it preparing for a team and figuring out sort of keys to a match when there's been so much change on the other side?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just focusing on ourselves, not too much about the opponent that we're going to play, but how we're going to play, how we're going to press, how we're going to defend. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've kind of worked on going to the season. Obviously, it'll change opponent to opponent, maybe strategies going into the game, but I think the biggest thing is us buying into our own identity. And I think if we do that, it won't matter who we're facing up against.
No, I actually have to squeeze one more question in there. How excited are you to play at BMO Stadium?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I haven't seen it there in person yet, so I'm really excited first game and just to see the crowd, the energy. I honestly can't wait. I won't be able to sleep the night before.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's got to be so much better being on the field.
Yeah.
Final question for you. You're a rookie. I told you pre-interview that I've heard some good things from different people, right? They said like, oh, she looks really good in training. Have you thought about kind of what goals are for the season? Have you set some objectives for yourself? I want to score this many goals. I want to play this many minutes. This is what I want to accomplish as a team. Anything like that? Or are you just kind of taking it as it comes?
Yeah, I think I'm a winner. I've always been competitive. I've always wanted to win. So I think first and foremost, like as a team, striving to get to the very last game, to make playoffs, to win the championship, to win things like that. So I think ultimately that's my biggest goal. And on a personal level, it's what can I bring to this team in doing that? And I think every day in training, just taking it one day at a time, staying where my feet are and just putting my head down and working at it. Obviously, I know the staff believes in me, the girls believe in me, and it just gives me confidence to be myself in that way. So honestly, just doing whatever I can to help this team and to help us get to our goals and be the last team playing at the end of the season. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all of us at Soccer in 60 are rooting for you,
Thank
for
you.
this team, and for you personally. Really appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so
course.
much for coming on.
Yes, thank you. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you.
A fantastic interview this week for sure. Thank you to our producer, Gunnar Burnt, and obviously Taylor Suarez for taking time here on Soccer in 60. Now, a quick word from our friends over at National Core. National Core is one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. And to learn more about National Core and their mission, head to nationalcore.org. Let's bring on the voice of the MASL's Empire Strykers, Philly, Christian Philemon, as we dissect a crucial week for the Strykers. Philly, welcome back to the show. I caught you in the middle of a jam session there, Philly. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times last week. Let's unfortunately start with a rough one. March 5th at home, Philly, they were shut out by the Sockers 4-0, only the second ever shutout applied to the Strykers in their Strykers Fury history. But this one had a lot of history tied to it, Philly. Your thoughts on that 4-0 shutout?
I've never called a goose egg against the Empire Strykers. I've only called goose eggs that the Empire Strykers are employing on others. So that was the first for me. Very close game for the most part. There was still hope in the final quarter. But alas, San Diego will come out with a win, and that would even up the series. It was the rubber match, so they would end off 3-3. Still the Strykers' most successful campaign in an annual basis against San Diego. So we'll use this as a forget it, set it, and leave it type of a moment. But you talk about the history. The last time the Strykers did get skunked was at Pechanga Arena in San Diego back on 2017 it was. The goalkeeper for the San Diego Sockers then, one Chris Toth. Yes, the son of legendary Zoltan Toth, whose name is in the rafters. And for those who are catching on, Chris Toth normally has worn the number 31. But this season, in homage to his father, who also played professionally outdoors and played for the Hungarian national team, they reactivated the number 1 for the San Diego Sockers, and he certainly played like the number 1. Chris Toth was hurt at the beginning of the season. Therefore, their main keeper, Boris Pardo, had to stand on his head, making a lot of great plays. But Chris Toth in this game against the Strykers would get the shutout, so he would be the only keeper that has been at the helm of skunking the Strykers on the road and at home. And oh yeah, by the way, he was a longtime member of the Fury/Strykers organization as well.
Yeah, a little salt in the wounds there. 14 saves for Chris Toth in that shutout. Keeper Brandon Gomez, though, forced to come on after a penalty assessed to Brian Orozco. Maybe had the best moments of the match there for the Strykers. 2 huge saves on the subsequent shootout, keeping Empire in the match. And Philly, they were able to kill off all 3 penalties they were assessed. Defense was super solid, so maybe it wasn't quite the worst of times in this one, right?
No, the penalty kill for the Empire Strykers has been pretty good. There's no question about that. Oftentimes, they're the ones that are controlling possession. But against San Diego, and in particular the last couple of games, things have been a little different. Not only did Brandon Gomez deny San Diego on a penalty kick, but he denied the all-time leading scorer in the history of that franchise, a history that goes back almost 50 years ago. There was legendary players that competed for San Diego, Julie V, and then the great Lord of Indoor, Steve Zungul. Folks, do yourself a favor and look up this name, Steve Zungul, Zungul, arguably the greatest indoor soccer player of all time. But Craig Childs does have that moniker. King Captain San Diego, grew up in San Diego, played at San Diego State. Other than the time that he was drafted in MLS by then Chivas USA, he has been all San Diego his entire life. The fact that Brandon Gomez denied him not once, but twice speaks volumes as to what this kid's shot-stopping abilities are. And obviously he can score goals. He does that too.
Yeah, let's talk about it. March 7th, they traveled to St. Louis. And you got to think maybe the soccer gods were looking out for an all-time great in Justin Stinson, as he is from the St. Louis area. It was a historic night for the Strykers, a 5-4 overtime win, which might be a little frustrating if you're the Strykers. But Philly, let's talk about the roller coaster that this game was real quick. 2-0 lead. They give it all back, score some more. I mean, that's kind of been the Strykers season in a nutshell, no?
Yes. I mean, well, there's the yes and no, hot and cold, in, out, up, down, Marco Polo, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the whole shebang. And I mentioned the Marco Polo thing because every good Marco deserves a polo. And the polo that we had on the turf at the Family Arena in St. Charles, Missouri, was of one Leopoldo Polo Hernandez, a former member of the UC Riverside Highlanders and a 2023 regular season and Big West tournament champion. Polo, arguably in his best game ever for the Empire Strykers, really took care of business with 2 main goals. But you said it, Justin Stinson himself made some history. I don't want to bury the lead, but Justin Stinson from St. Charles, Missouri, the goal that he scored in St. Charles, Missouri, in front of his family, the game-winning goal in overtime. But there's a big reason why that goal's historic. And since you're the host of this Bad Mama Jamma, why don't you tell, I was going to say the millions, that's a different show. Why don't you tell everybody why this was such a historic moment?
Yeah, he came into this one dead heat with the great Frank Tayu in terms of points all time for the franchise. And now with that goal, which was the game winner, he moves atop the list, 186 points for the franchise, for the Strykers Fury franchise. And Timmy K, you got to think there's just something beautiful about the soccer gods realizing the moment that could happen, where it could happen, and not to a better guy either than Justin Stinson, Timmy.
Yeah, I think it's a little apropos that he comes in there and gets one of his patented shots. He brings it off the left wing, touches it to the middle, and just rifles it in for the game winner. And I think what it is, I think it would have been great to see it at home against the Strykers, a game winner, against the Sockers rather. But really, truly, the soccer gods had it that he had to do it in his hometown and be in front of his family.
And I want to add on that, obviously, when Justin became a part of the MASL, he was kind of on the a downward trajectory of his career. He literally tried out indoor wearing a pair of beat-up Vans. No joke, not even turf shoes, Vans. And it was Everton Morera, who was the coach at the time, that would take a chance on him. So I think it's beautiful that he sets this record at home in front of his home crowd, but also against the same team that took a chance on him that launched his pro indoor career.
Yeah, Philly, I don't think we can hyperbolize this game coming up anymore. Thursday, March 12th, with this show will likely be leading into, if you are listening, MASL YouTube, local PBS station KVCR, Fox Sports 1270 AM today, Thursday, March 12th. I apologize for the magic of editing. Don't worry, it'll all work out. But Philly, this is massive. We're talking a team in Tacoma that it's only between those two for the final playoff spot at this point.
Yeah, and positions 1 through 5 are secured. This season, it's only the top 6 that go to the postseason. Strykers have 25 points on 20 games played. The Tacoma Stars have 19 games played and 23 points. Now, it's going to be neck and neck. It's one of these two teams that are going to finish out. Utica City's it's not mathematically out yet, but you could pretty much stick a fork in them. They're done. This is of the utmost importance. The teams have met each other on 4 occasions already. The Strykers have defeated the Stars 3 straight times. Tacoma hasn't beaten Empire since December the 20th. The Stars, though, revamped their offense, and the main reason being because they cannot win on the road. 0-7-1, and they have the most of almost the second most goals scored on them and the least amount of goals scored this season. But they bring in the legendary Frank Tayu. He's 12 points shy of a career 600 points, the all-time leading scorer in the MASL in goals, in points, game-winning goals, so on and so forth. In the 3 games that Frank's played in, he's already scored 5 goals. So if Tacoma's going to sneak out a win, you want to talk about poetic? How about employing the one point the all-time franchise leader from the team you're facing to go up in his old home and then stick it to his old employer? The king returns to his palace, but this time he's going to wield his mighty scepter against a team that held on to him longer than any other team in the MASL. This is as good as it's going to get. The best game in MASL. Must-see TV. If you're not going to find any joy in this, you don't have a pulse.
That's right. And then again, don't forget, they travel to Milwaukee Sunday, March 15th for a noon kickoff. So if you want to watch that as well, make sure you check out that again, MASL's YouTube page. And these home games, you'll hear that voice right there. He's the voice of the Empire Strykers, Christian, Philly, Philemon. Thank you once again, my friend. and we're going to say bye to Philly. But
Thanks,
let's bring
Philly.
back on Cara. It gets even better. Look at this. We've got Cara Lang Romero back with us to talk some black and gold. I like the magic of that editing. That one works out really well. Look, it was a weird week for LAFC, to say the least. Cara, first, kind of a lackluster effort at BMO Stadium, defeating Dallas. Look, you'll never complain about 3 points. It doesn't matter how you get them. But even Marc Dos Santos said he was not impressed with the way that they had played. An outside-the-box banger by David Martinez is the only goal scored in the match. LAFC runs their win streak to 5. But let me get your thoughts first and foremost on that match against Dallas. Look, we know what they're going to try to do, right? Low block, clog the middle, do everything. But LAFC didn't look like they had many answers.
They didn't. And they also didn't look like they were quite ready for the type of low block that Dallas was playing, because it wasn't a full total low block. It was more of a mid block, and there was a lot of space in behind because of it. And LAFC looked to exploit that space, going route one, playing over top to start. And we saw some great service, especially from Eustachio, making that, trying to attempt that route one pass. But Dallas they were so compact and so organized, and their timing on dropping on that service was just so good that it wasn't working that way for LAFC. And they were having trouble breaking down Dallas's defense, especially. And it's clear, the word is out that 5 in the back is the way to beat LAFC. We saw Alajuelense did the same thing, a little bit different tactically, which I think we're going to talk about. But it was lackluster. That's a great way to put it. LAFC was outplayed by Dallas. They were outshot. Dallas had a 1.28 XG to LAFC's 0.9, 15 shots, 5 on target, 10 were inside the box for Dallas. So LAFC really, I think they came out almost a little cocky against Dallas, which is understandable given the start that they've had to the season. But I think that they were humbled pretty quickly.
Yeah, but it was a fantastic performance between the sticks by the old man, Hugo Lloris, 39 years old. Timmy K, we saw him make a couple diving saves, another leaping save. It was turn back the clock night. Nobody announced that at BMO Stadium. But for Hugo Lloris, Timmy, turn back the clock night went pretty well for him.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. You had Tardis in the side netting there. But it's really fun and interesting to see exactly how Dallas played this game. And like Cara said, there were so many Dallas shots from inside the box that had to be dealt with by Hugo or any of the other of his teammates. And to see him play that well, he's mid-season form just a few games into this season there, Scarf.
Yeah, and they haven't asked him to do a whole lot leading up to that. So it was nice to see that Hugo still could. Look, a completely different script as they faced Alajuelense, the Costa Rican team that they ironically played just 3 years ago, also in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. The final scoreline 1-1, so that stops the win streak at 5. Now, it's not a loss, and Marc Dos Santos and others kept emphasizing, look, it wasn't a loss. We played well enough. Denis Bouanga scores a goal, but Cara, talk about the differences in low blocks, right? This was 75% possession almost for LAFC. 30 shots, I think, 12 on target. A great night, by the way, from the keeper for Alajuelense. But, a few tactical questions have arisen, and I want to address that with you in a second. Mm-hmm. Let me ask one about a particular player first, if you don't mind. I've thrown it out there that Sonny just doesn't look like he's 100% right now. I think Marc Dos Santos has kind of cryptically alluded to that in what he kept saying at the start of the season. He didn't get in a full preseason, and I think that meant more than just going to Korea and playing those Tottenham farewell matches. He's been setting up his teammates just fine, but he seems less aggressive and overall just off when attacking. What do you think is going on with Son Heung-min right now?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think, as you mentioned, the fact that he didn't have a full preseason, but why didn't he have a full preseason? I think that's sort of the gray area there. It seems that he's dealing with a few knocks, a few niggles, maybe not a full-on injury, but he's dealing with something. He's not as sharp as he always is. But above all, he's dealing with 3 players on him at all times. He has, when teams are playing 5 in the back, that's 3 center backs defending him at all times. He's got nowhere to go. So until teams are forced to defend Martinez and Buanga just as much, it's going to be a lot of the same, really. And where he will make his impact in the meantime isn't on set pieces, and he doesn't look as sharp on those yet, but give him a few more weeks. And I think he'll be making the most of every opportunity, both in game as well as in set pieces. Just give him time.
Yeah, and you mentioned Dallas's block was more of a mid block. I think Alajuelense's was the absolute definition of a low block. I mean, there were 7, 8, 9 sometimes back in the box, but LAFC was able to generate chance after chance after chance against that low block. What do you think was successful about what LAFC was able to do against Alajuelense that they weren't able to do against Dallas?
Yeah, I think that's an important point, because I think there's a lot of frustration right now with fans and critics saying LAFC doesn't know how to break down a low block. But I think against Alajuelense, although they weren't converting, they proved that they can break down a low block. And David Martinez's goal against Dallas, again, showed that they can. They figured it out eventually. And how they did that was that deep run by Eustachio, pulling the defenders out of shape and then laying it back to Martinez, who was wide open at the top of the box for that golazo that he scored. And against Alajuelense, it was a lot of the same, a lot of the overlapping runs, pressing into the half spaces, attacking those half spaces and cutting the ball back. I think they did really well with that. And although their combinations around the box weren't as crisp as they need to be, they were trying, and they were for much of the game. I mean, they were trying. It was relentless in the first half. It was almost comical at times to me how many chances they were able to create. And so this game, I don't think, was about tactics. This game was about execution and lack of clinical finishing inside the box. But as far as the question of whether or not LAFC knows how to break down a low block, I don't think that that's a problem, because I think that they're being forced to figure it out. And as the season progresses and more teams throw a 5-back at them, which is what it seems like most teams are going to try to do, I think LAFC will find more and more ways to solve it.
Yeah, all right. So we're on our second gauntlet of the season. LAFC played 4 matches in 12 days. Now they're on to 5 matches in 15 days. Saturday, March 14th against St. Louis City at BMO. Tuesday, March 17th in Costa Rica. St. Patrick's Day for all the marbles there in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, so they can move on. Let me ask Tim first. With all of this match congestion early in the season, Don Garber repeatedly says, we want MLS to succeed on the biggest stage. Should he step in? Should the scheduling committee step in and move some of these MLS games out so that LAFC and other clubs, we'll talk about this with the Galaxy, actually we already have technically in the show through the magic of editing, should that be something that Don Garber steps in and does?
I think he has to. I think it's just too much, too soon, too quick at the start of the season, because you're putting, what are we at, 9 games within 29 days? Yeah. I mean, that's every 3 days. I mean, these guys are pros and they get it and they understand it, and they've earned this right to play 9 games in the first month, basically, of the season. But the reality is that's why Sonny's got knocks. That's why Denny Bouanga has probably got a couple of knocks too. These guys are just, there's so few games into the MLS season, and these guys have already got nagging injuries. And this is not going to bode well long term, especially if both the Galaxy and LAFC get deeper into the CCC. It's going to be a problem come July and August, although, they get 6 weeks off for the World Cup, so that'll help.
Yeah, and all this, and we didn't even get to talk about owner Carlos Vela now with LAFC. We'll have to cover that on another show. We're going to slowly kick it on over to Orange County Soccer Club, and that means it's my buddy Timmy and I just getting to hang out here on Soccer in 60. The County Boys opened their season at home against the lowly Lights, but the Las Vegas Lights, Timmy, came to play. Just a 1-1 draw at the Champ. Let me first ask you, this wasn't quite their triumphal announcement to 2026 as they had hoped.
No, definitely not. Liam McKinnon gets their first goal of the season. Nice plays to get this one in the back of the net, just 21 minutes in. But after that, it was kind of like the Cadbury bunny. Bark, 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 bark. They're looking for the eggs. And this one was an egg layer after that goal. this was definitely not the way Orange County wanted to come out. And Coach Danny Stone mentions this in his post-game interviews. They just weren't there in that. I mean, when you only have the possession that Orange County had was just terrible. They weren't passing very well. We had talked about it pregame that it was less than 77% accuracy, and it didn't even seem like that much. And it was just not very good for the County boys coming out. Now, a point's a point, don't get me wrong. And at the end of the season, this point could make the difference between 5th and 6th place. But the reality is they just didn't play very well.
And look, you mentioned the goal by Leigh McKinnon, 21st minute. That's their only shot on target of the match. Now, look, newcomer Marcelo Palomino looked good in the midfield. He gets the assist on the goal. A couple of other things that we like to see from Orange County Soccer Club. First, Tom Brewitt donning that captain's armband again. He's your set it and forget it captain. Tyson Espy, fresh off his exploits in the under-17 World Cup. He got the start, but only played the first 57 minutes. Interesting there. I want to get your thoughts on, look, clearly the back line was okay in this one, but taking off a player like Tyson Espy and then giving up a goal late in the match like they did, you got to wonder, was Coach Stone maybe thinking a little too far ahead for the next match, or should he have kept on his best back line to see it out?
I think he's looking ahead. The kid's 15. You can't run him out there really, truly in his first true, real professional match for a full 90. You just can't ask that of a 15-year-old kid. Now, kid's a stud, don't get me wrong, but I think Coach Stone is definitely looking long-term for this. And you don't want to get the kid injured because, again, Orange County, it's like the MLS team. They've got multiple games over the next 10 days, and you want to make sure your guys are fresh. And having a kid like Tyson Espy around in September, that's what he's really, truly looking for at this point in the season.
Yeah, one of the things we were looking at coming into this season, would Tet get the start or would it go to Alex Rando? And despite Tetsuya Kadano's best efforts at the end of last season, it was indeed Alex Rando. Look, he was only asked to make, goalkeeper Alex Rando was only asked to make 3 saves, but looked pretty good, although a little out of position, out of sorts on that goal he gave up late to the Lights.
Yeah, I think this is just getting used to his teammates and just understanding where his positioning is going to be. It wasn't a mistake, sure. Is it, cost him 3 points? Yeah, but again, you've got so many new guys coming in on the team that, especially with him being the goalkeeper in his very first start for the club, he wasn't asked to do a lot, but I think it's one of those ones where, you always want a goal back. But this one, I think he'll look at the tape and say, yeah, I should have been a little better positioned.
Yeah, I think you're right about that one. Look, beneficiaries of a fire sale this close to the opening of the season isn't something you get to say very often, but Orange County Soccer Club certainly was. This is an interesting one and unfortunate, by the way, with South Georgia Tormenta of USL League One folding a mere, 13 days before they're set to take the pitch. But it works out well for Orange County Soccer Club because they're able to pick up a player, a very good player from South Georgia Tormenta, striker Yaniv Bazzini. He notched 12 goals and 7 assists across 38 matches for South Georgia in 2025. He won a national championship in 2024 with the Vermont Catamounts, and he would, by the way, fresh off of being signed just a day or two ago, he would come on as a very late sub for Chris Hagart in that 1-1 draw against the Las Vegas Lights. Look, the South Georgia Tormenta saga is unfortunate, Timmy, but being able to pick up a guy who scored double-digit goals and 7 assists, granted, it was USL League One, but the guy knows how to score.
Yeah, and that's what the club needs. You need some guy, we talked about it with LAFC, there's no clinical finishing. This guy can come in and be that clinical finisher, and I don't have any doubts that this guy is going to be lighting up the score sheet within the next few weeks.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch Bazzini get acclimated to the system for sure. It'll also be fun to watch them at Phoenix Rising Saturday, March 14th at 7:30. And now it's time for one of our favorite segments here on the show. This is Best 11. We round up the best single match performances of the last week, and there was a lot to go around. Let's look at keeper Hugo Lloris for his exploits against Dallas, the defenders Mauricio Cuevas of the Galaxy against Mount Pleasant, Ryan Porteous for LAFC against Alajuelense, and Ben Sutteth for the Empire Strykers against the Sockers. In the midfield, David Martinez and Steven Eustachio for LAFC's match against Dallas, Mark Delgado for their match against Alajuelense, and Edwin Cerrillo for Galaxy's match against Mount Pleasant. Denny Bawanga, LAFC against Alajuelense, Joao Klaus, Galaxy against Mount Pleasant, and captain and deserving of the armband, even though he was picking on a team that was shorthanded. That's okay. Gabriel Peck with the hat trick. He gets the captain's armband. I'll throw it first to Cara. Cara, who on this list really showed out to you? And try not to be too biased with Steven Eustachio, the Canadian national team. Okay.
How did you know? I mean, first of all, Gabriel Peck, redemption game after that red card to score a hat trick like that.
Right.
Incredible performance. That is exactly how you respond after letting your team down completely. But you were right. Eustachio is the one that stands out for me. He's a revelation. What can I say? He's exactly what LAFC has needed for years. He adds a completely new element, elite creativity and vision, a variety of service to the Strykers. He's controlling the game. You can see the way he's talking to his teammates, especially against Dallas, the way he was telling them to slow the game down at times when they really needed to, when they were looking rushed and getting sloppy. So normally in this league, I wouldn't advocate for a DP spot to go to a midfielder, but I'm going to say it right now. They need to find a way to get Eustachio on this team. And so in this case, I'm going to say, why not? Give him a DP spot if you have to. Just find a way to keep him after that 6 months.
Yeah, he's absolutely incredible. Our producer Gunnar wants me to poke all the fans out there and say that LAFC had 6 on the team, Galaxy with 4, Empire Strykers with 1, and no County Boys on there, Timmy K. Can I ask you a quick one here, and then I'll get you to one more. Did any County Boys deserve to be on the best 11?
No.
All right, there you go. I do want to ask you, though, about the performance, Timmy K, of one excuse me. Let's try that again. I do want to ask you, Timmy K, about the performance of one Gabriel Peck. Cara was just talking about it. He gets the red card and is awful in that match for Galaxy last match, but then it comes on and really puts the nail in the coffin against Mount Pleasant. 2 very late goals to seal not just the win, but a hat trick and probably the tie against Mount Pleasant, even though they have to go to Jamaica. Seeing Gabriel Peck step up in that way, that's just what superstars do, right, Timmy?
It's exactly what superstars do, and I think he had to. I think he had to come out, and he had something to prove. He had a big old giant chip on his shoulder. And he had to come out and perform because, as Carr said, he did let his team down. The first yellow card, okay, whatever. The second one, dumb. You're faster than the guy. Just run past him, get the ball. Don't tackle him. And the red card, is justifiable on that second yellow. But to come out and play this game the way he did, I think everybody is back on the Gabriel Peck wagon.
I mean, yeah, if you fall off of that wagon, you're not watching soccer every week, that's for sure. Joao Klaus makes the best 11 despite a rather frustrating offensive performance from him, but he does get an assist late. And I do want to mention, for the Empire Strykers, this is a name that we have not seen on the best 11. Defender Ben Sutteth, congratulations to making your first best 11 here on Soccer in 60. Carl, let me turn it over to you one last time real quick. Talk to me about David Martinez making this, scoring the goal, and hopefully we'll see him on more best 11s.
Yeah, I definitely expect to see Martinez on more best 11s, especially as right now all the attention seems to be on Son. I think he's going to find himself in some really good goal scoring positions. I was happy to see him finish that goal specifically against Dallas because we've seen him try that exact shot so many times last season, and we saw the frustration with him, and we saw where maybe he was getting yanked out of games by Dolo after attempting shots like that. And he was doing it because he knew he had it in him. And, I think Mark Dos Santos knows that he's got it in him, and that's why he keeps giving him a chance. And so I was just really happy to see him put that away. It was an incredible shot. And yeah, like you said, expecting a lot more of that from him.
Well, and you can expect a lot more of that from us here on Soccer in 60. This has been one of the most jam-packed episodes we have. Don't forget, come back next week. This is Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. We'll see you next week.